Hey guys, welcome back to RMA Garage. I'm Mark and I'm glad you joined us today. It's been a while since we've done a dirt bike video, so I wanted to do one that was meaningful. I just didn't want to start talking about dirt bikes just for filling video time. I've done a lot of videos on my RV because we've been doing a lot of that, but dirt biking's kind of been on the back burner. Guys, my kids have had jobs all summer. They're making money, they're excited about buying their own things, and dirt bikes kind of got put in the corner, which is fine. That's what happens sometimes when you have other interests. We still have them, we're not getting rid of them, but we definitely have to make sure that when we do use them that they're ready to go. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about chain maintenance. I am a stickler for clean bikes. This bike is not super clean, but hence it's a dirt bike. It doesn't have to be super perfect. But I do like my chain to be as clean as I can. And I was a fanatic about chain lubes for the longest time. So in this video, we're going to talk about what I ultimately went with as a chain lube. All right, so let's get to it. So I am very picky about my chain on all my bikes. This is Andrew's bike, but I like to have a clean chain. My bicycles have clean chains and my dirt bikes have clean chains. And I have gone through many different kinds of chain lubes, and I've always tried to use the non-fling, something that's a little sticky, something that is not going to fling off, because obviously that's what I thought would be the best case scenario. But the problem with non-fling chains is they collect dirt. They collect a lot of dirt and they're sticky. When you get done with them, they're sticky and you think, great, it's not going to fly off. But after a ride, you got dirt caked everywhere. Now I used to use Maxima Crystal Clear, and if you guys use that and have great success with it, great. I'm not here to bash any chain lube at all. But what I'm trying to accomplish is how much time it takes to clean up this thing when we get home. Because let's face it, this is not what we do every day, every weekend. This is a hobby. And you don't want it to be a bog when you come home and have to deal with these things. So I had seen a video on YouTube, and it was put out by a YouTube channel called Fort9, and I'll leave a link below. The guy is phenomenal. He's done reviews on products in the past, and he has this scientific way of testing things. And he tested, I think, 6 or 7 chain lubes. And at the end of that video, I don't want to ruin it for you, so if you want to pause and fast forward, I don't want to ruin the end. But at the end of the video, he basically boiled down the entire chain lube situation to using oil to coat the chain at the end of the ride so it doesn't rust. Because chain lubes, if they're non-fling, they collect dirt. And if they're just a regular chain lube that can fling off, they don't stay on there very long. It flings off, and what's the point of doing it? Well, when you look in the manual in his video, it just says to coat the chain with 90 weight gear oil at the end of every ride. So I had an epiphany. This is great. I'll just coat the chain at the end of the ride and we're good to go. Let's try it out. So I bought a bottle of gear oil and I brought it home and I put it on the chain. After cleaning it, I spent an hour cleaning the chain thinking, okay, this is baseline 1. We cleaned the chain, we got it all nice and clean. I use Maxima chain cleaner, which is super awesome, and I use a brush. Get in all the nooks and crannies. So I got it clean, put the gear oil on it, went to work the next day, came home, and I smelled something. It was really bad. And I went into the garage, and here it stunk like, well, I won't tell you what it stunk like. It was bad. And it was the 90 weight gear oil. It has this weird odor to it. And it was full in the garage, and it was getting into the house. So, oh man. But the great thing was that it worked. Like, it coated the chain, it wasn't rusty, and it was great. It was awesome. So I was kind of bummed. It worked, but it stunk. So I'm like, well, do I have to use 90 weight gear oil? I'm like, well, maybe I could just use regular motor oil. I mean, all we're doing is coating the chain. Because in his video, he boiled down to the fact that any chain lube that you put on there is going to come off after the first 20 minutes of any ride. The links get dry, the sprockets get dry. Really, the only thing that you're lubing are these little rollers in here, and they're rollers. They're meant to roll and move. So what are you lubing? The lube is within the chain itself. So really, all you're doing is coating the chain so it doesn't rust in between rides. So I decided, instead of using 90 weight, is to use regular 10W30, 10W20, 5W20, whatever oil that I had here in the house. I put it on a rag and I rubbed it on, and it did smell, of course, and we went on a couple of rides in between that. And sure enough, the chain would be dry after about an hour riding or half an hour riding. We'd go through a puddle or dirt. But one thing I noticed at the end of the ride after we sprayed it off, that the dirt wasn't caked. So I'm like, this is great, but I wanted to apply the oil at the time when we hosed the bikes off at the place we were riding. I didn't have the oil with me, and it was kind of cumbersome I had a squirty bottle, or, I put it in a rag and I'd rub it on, and it didn't work because it got everywhere. So I came up with a solution for that, because the oil worked, it coated the chain, everything was great. After a ride, you hosed off the chain, it was clean, you coated it with oil, and you were good to go, okay? So, but I needed to find an applicator for the oil. And what I came up with was a kind of a weird solution here. I bought a container and brush combination. Now you take this off, I can get it off here. This is a brush on the end of a stick, and the lid's attached to it. And of course, there's a reservoir here, and I've got some oil in it. So what we do now is we put it on side stand. I pull the bike over so the rear wheel's off the ground, and then we basically just brush it on. And I'll hold it, he'll spin the wheel, and we'll just kind of let the chain go and basically coat the chain with the brush. Of course, you got the oil in here, and everything works perfectly. Now, this little container is not for application of oil. I found this on Amazon. This is actually an applicator for putting on hoof cream for horses. So yes, I will put a link below, and it will have a horse somewhere in the ad saying, perfect application for hoof cream. So that's what this is. But I just basically put oil in it, and it works perfectly. Now, this is not 100% tight, for liquids. And so when we travel, I put it in a little plastic container, and I got a hole in the lid. And that is how we transport this. So now when we go riding, we take this with us. After we ride, we spray off the bikes, and then we apply the oil to the chain. And when we come back, this is what the chain looks like. This is what it remains until we ride again. So no rust, no stickiness, no dirt. It works. We've tried it a couple of times, and the chains are holding up well. That we're not seeing any wear, we're not seeing any problems. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys, what we ultimately came up with. Oil is definitely a whole lot cheaper than all the different chain lubes. So comments and questions, guys. What do you guys use for chain lube? This is working for us, especially coming home. All we got to do is take the bikes, put them in the garage, and we're done. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. I learned something about chain lube and the likes, dislikes, and ultimate elimination of them. We're going to give this a shot. It's been working all summer long. And even though we haven't done a lot of riding, our chains have been ready to go every single time. So if you guys have any comments or any questions, please leave them below. I'll get to them as soon as I can. Don't forget to click the like and subscribe and the bell so you won't miss our up and coming episodes. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.